Tragically, it only took Donald Trump a few weeks into his second term to make America much weaker on the global stage. It took us 80 years to build up a system that benefited all Americans tremendously and that has made us the most prosperous nation in history. And it all went up in smoke after just a few weeks because of a weak, petty, and vengeful man. Our friends no longer trust us, and our enemies no longer respect us. I'm a speak softly and carry a big stick kind of guy. But the president likes to act tough and talk a big game about making America first. I thought about this last Friday when I heard Trump bragging about repositioning two of our nuclear submarines because he didn't like something that a former president of Russia had posted online. Every leader in the world knows if you want to get to Donald Trump, all you have to do is post something that gets under his skin. You might even get him to tell the whole world that he's moving some of our most important nuclear assets, all on social media. The world is a big, complicated place. It isn't always obvious why things that are happening thousands of miles away affect our lives here in Texas. But the reality is, both our physical and our economic security are threatened when the rest of the world sees our leaders as either bad actors or useful idiots. It's not complicated to understand that Canada and Denmark are our friends and Russia is our enemy. And Trump can't even seem to get that straight. When we have strong national leadership in foreign affairs, our trade grows, our economy grows, we have peace, and Texans benefit. And although the president is constantly talking a big game about how hot the American economy is, the reality is we created about 40,000 fewer jobs last month than was expected. We created about 90% less jobs in May and June than Trump has been bragging about. And Texans feel this. My own family feels this. It's hard to get a job these days. And firing the person who reports the statistics that Trump doesn't like won't change things either. It'll only make our economic data less trustworthy and give foreign nations yet one more reason not to trust us or invest in our economy. I was on the space station about a decade ago. Russia had taken Crimea, they had invaded the east of Ukraine, and one night I was down on the Russian segment with one of my cosmonauts. We were looking out this big window that they have in the service module. We were looking at Europe as we came over eastern Ukraine. We could literally see red flashes on the ground. We were watching Russian bombs kill Ukrainians. It was incredibly somber. But what I was really seeing at that moment was failed deterrence. It was failed foreign policy. It was European and it was American weakness. I was also seeing Russia's march towards fascism under Putin. All of that ending up in this terrible war where Ukrainians are paying the price every day. In fact, Russia deliberately bombed Kyiv a few days ago, yet again, killing over 30 people and injuring hundreds just on Friday last week. For us to have a foreign policy that truly works in our best interests and in the interests of Texas, we need people representing us in Washington who are curious about the rest of the world, who've lived overseas, and who can understand both our partners and our enemies. We need a leader who will do more than whatever Donald Trump tells them to. When we don't have that, this is what we get.
We can't just ignore this place. We can't just ignore the president's desires.
Or look at the backflips that John Cornyn does when he talks about the war in Ukraine and Trump.
But one thing is clear. It's time for the war in Ukraine to end. President Trump is right.
John Cornyn knows that the MAGA position on Ukraine is flat out wrong. He's voted to send Ukraine aid in the past. He said that Russia invaded Ukraine without provocation. He says that Putin is the obstacle to peace.
We should let them make the decision and to provide them everything they need in order to defend themselves and their country and defeat Vladimir Putin.
And yet, anytime Cornyn feels the inkling to maybe speak the truth about this issue, he decides to stroke Trump's ego instead. He praises him for trying to achieve peace through strength, or putting out statements about how Putin might have been able to bully other presidents, but any attempt to fool or strong-arm President Trump will not succeed. Good grief, that is complete nonsense. Putin has been playing Trump for a fool since January 20th, and John Cornyn knows it. Putin has gotten everything he wanted and more from the man he worked so hard to help elect ever since 2016. And John Cornyn knows that. If the senator from Texas doesn't have the courage to speak the truth, to put Texas and America over party, then it's time for a new senator from Texas. And that needs to be front and center in our minds when we vote next year, because elections have consequences and foreign policy matters a lot at home in Texas and abroad. And there's no one else in this race who understands that better than I do. No one who will come to this job with as unique of a perspective on the whole world and how it affects us here in Texas. So the first step in fixing this mess that we're in is to choose someone who gets foreign policy. So let's take that step together.